All right, I would like to call to order the June 1st regular scheduled meeting of the Haymarket Planning Commission. Roll call, please.
Yes.
Here?
Here.
Here.
Here. Okay, if we could all please stand for the pledge of allegiance and remain standing for a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, a moment of silence, please. All right, thank you. All right, well, good evening. Appreciate all of you coming out tonight. The first order of business will be item number 4, minutes approval from our last regularly scheduled meeting on May 4th. So if we could look that over. All right, do I have a motion to accept the minutes from the May 4th meeting?
I'll offer a motion to accept those minutes.
All right, do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? All right, carry. All right, at this time, any citizen would like to speak to the Planning Commission? You two citizens in the back, would you like to speak? All right, seeing none, we will close citizens' time. All right, announcements. Anybody have an announcement? I guess I have two. We, next, make sure I'm telling you right, the 6th, correct? Next Monday, we're having a joint public hearing to do a few quick items with the PC in conjunction with the town council. And I guess that's just the one announcement I had. Anybody else have an announcement?
I have two questions. One, simply, how's the farmer's market doing? It got rained out there a couple of Saturdays in a row. Did they pick up?
All I can tell you is the last time I saw it, it looked like it was pretty well attended.
Oh, okay.
When I drove
Moving
by-
it to the Hair-Over, I was thinking of, in the future, is this going to be a good spot for?
I think actually here, you're right, would be a better spot because they get everybody coming from Piedmont coming through.
Right. Right, they were
Oh, they-
here.
They're going to stay, I hope.
In the near term, one of Brian's manager reports had mentioned they've tried down there, didn't quite have visibility for immediate future. It's going to stay here.
Yeah, I probably should have mentioned, I saw, they were out front out here, and it looked like it was pretty
Well attended.
pretty good business.
And it combines, we had regular folks that every year would do the farmer's market here, and then there's another group doing a market at QBE campus. They've joined forces and will continue to hold the markets here.
The other was a question about developing the extended use path on the other side of the bridge over the highway from Robinson's Paradise to, well, I suppose, all the way to the main road.
Toward the Hadecourt Boulevard, right?
Yeah, is there we know we're supposed to have something, a sidewalk, for example, from the center of town to the bridge.
Right.
What about the other side of the bridge?
We had discussed that as a council, at the last council meeting, actually, but why don't you fill us in? To my knowledge, there's nothing, that's the county's responsibility over on that side, correct?
Correct. So a couple of things that are happening. One, on the east side of Old Carolina, north of Jordan Lane, a lot of those projects, you may have seen the sign that say coming soon, Hospital Center. Most of those properties, all the properties from Jordan Lane out to Heathcote, as they developed, were to provide sidewalks and trail access, but only at the time that they develop. I've spoken with Pete Canlins about could we approach the county about trying to expedite or maybe facilitate completion of that, because now it's the missing link.
Yeah.
The immediate response, there was some confusion that was suggested to me that the county wasn't inclined to work with us because we had changed the side upon which the trail has been constructed, the multipurpose trail. Right now, when you're on the other side of Heathcote, the 10-foot asphalt trail's on the east side, sidewalks on the west side. When you get to Heathcote, you have to switch because the bridge has a trail on the west side. The reason VDOT came to us during the bridge design and said the way the right-of-way works, we can only put the trail on the west side. The county folks at the county were under the impression that that was our behest, and therefore we created a problem, and it's our problem to solve. Not once I clarified for Pete that that wasn't the case, he said he would continue, or maybe we should reach out and see if we could maybe share or commingle some CIP funding, or maybe research some VDOT monies that may help us to finish that missing link.
Okay.
Sidewalks don't get us there. I mean, sidewalks provide a pedestrian connection on the east side, but we
Yeah.
really need that trail to really connect
Yeah.
to the north.
Yeah, because that road's pretty narrow to begin with, and it's not in the greatest of shape.
It isn't, and the speed limit increases to 30 miles an hour heading north, which is, when you're walking or biking, that's pushing it a little bit.
Well, there's no shoulder now. There's a lot of potholes. It's just that segment of the road is really in poor condition.
It's terrible.
So that's just something we probably just need to raise to the attention of the
VDOT
County and
or
VDOT.
county?
All right, good comment.
I have one other question. As we're working on the Harover property, the crosswalks across the street, either to Green Hill Crossing or to Haymarket Station. I know we had talked at one point about a crosswalk at the Baptist Church. Are we going to have other crosswalks, basic pedestrian crossways across James Madison Highway there? Because even though the police patrol it, cars can go pretty quickly and it can be difficult to cross.
Talking about those intersections that are not currently.
Right, they're not, there's no current crosswalks there.
I think there's a crosswalk at the corner of St. Paul's.
There it is. Part of being rude, I'm trying to read in here to see if Brian included it as part of the CIP.
All right, we were waiting back from the comp plan from the council has not seen the new plan, correct? I don't believe we haven't.
Comprehensive plan?
We haven't gotten that back yet.
No, the first, they're doing the zoning ordinance, the consultant's doing the zoning ordinance first, and then we're doing the comp plan.
Right, but I'm saying all that would be a part of that, correct?
Correct. So,
And we
yes.
haven't gotten that back yet.
Is there a need for the facilities?
I would
Yes.
think, since there's many more residences in that area, both Haymarket Station and then in back of Haymarket Station, if you're going to have usage walking to that Harover property, there should be at some point a crosswalk before Blight Avenue to maybe the corner of Coachway.
That's right.
Ideally, you want them to match, obviously, intersections. I mean,
Yes.
Light drives offset Light Drive's a little bit offset from,
Well, it's right smack in the middle, basically.
Right.
Yeah.
The entrance to the park would be right across
From
from Coach.
Coach.
correct,
Right.
so that would make the most sense to have that immediately there.
And that was with the sidewalks as part of that site plan, to get sidewalks all the way down to QBE. And then it would tie in.
Is it in the immediate future? No. Can we also identify that as future improvements? Yeah.
All right. Okay, ARB, we can table that till Connor gets here. Town council, there's really nothing I can share. We had a closed meeting last night, but as far as the updates, I guess the only really current update would be the police and their new facility over here. And when exactly did they move in? Do you know the exact move-in date? I know it's like targeted for the 16th. Okay,
And they're fully moved.
but they're in, and seems like everything's going smooth over there. I actually had a tour, Jen took me through, and it's really nice. They did a really good job on that.
And there's an idea to maybe have an open house during the health and fitness
That would
expo.
be great.
Right.
That would be good.
And there's a prospective tenant, I believe,
Copper Cricket, yes.
Copper Cricket,
they're
that's
supposedly
wants to
going
go
in.
into the building.
Is there a date for that, for the Copper Cricket at all?
Not that I know of. I know they were going to do some, I know they had some toilet issues over there and some other minor renovations that they had to do, but I don't know the exact move-in date, but I can try to find out. Welcome.
Thank you, sir. Apologize.
No apology, I know traffic's terrible. We're right down to where ARB, do you have any updates on the ARB?
Yes, sir. In regards to our last meeting on the 18th of May, we discussed the Copper Cricket. They were coming in and they got approval for the type of sign, or excuse me, the materials and the colors that they were looking for their sign, as well as Miss Landry with Cookies and Cream that is going over in the QBE Business Park. She came and asked for approval to get a pergola built, a deck built, and I believe, paint as well on the property. And those were the two big things that came through for our small town local businesses.
Okay.
So it's great to see that we're moving forward with both of those and helping them out.
I know that at the home that was moved, the old Harover home, it's already sitting on its foundation, and they're doing a lot of renovation. If you get a chance to walk by, and they've got the storage underneath. He did a really good job with that site plan.
Do they have a date, proposed date for opening?
I want to say
June 6th,
yes.
Really?
Soft opening, yes.
soft opening, but
Oh, okay.
Like in soft ice cream?
the signs up out front coming soon. It's pretty aggressive, but they're,
Knowing Shauna, probably June 5th, Midnight Madness or something, but it's coming. It's been a,
There is no date for the Copper Cricket, right? I mean, you spoke about it.
Not to my knowledge off the top of my head. I can't remember.
it's coming soon.
Just, it's great.
All right, things are rolling here.
I do want to make one announcement. I apologize. I know that we just that was the earlier agenda item, but Sergeant Dandria, if you all remember, has this already been brought up?
No.
Okay. He, on our last Earth Day, we did a groundbreaking ceremony for him at the QBE Business Park. He was injured in Afghanistan, lost both his legs, and so a organization called Homes for Our Troops is coming out and building a mortgage-free home for him here in Haymarket, not within the town, but just outside on the outskirts on Lightner Road. And they're about 85% done with the home. And so on June 11th, they're going to be doing a community outreach day where everyone gets to come out and help put in landscape and plant shrubbery, the whole 9 yards. So that's on June 11th. And then the night before June 11th, on June 10th, Washington Street Realty with Suzanne Leak and I, as well as Rise Up Prince William and the town of Haymarket, are all going and doing a fundraiser dinner for Dandria, as well as Homes for Our Troops, to benefit the remaining portion of his home, and as well as for his family. And so those are two big dates that I just want to make sure everyone has on the calendar if they're able to make. June 10th is the dinner, and June 11th is the community outreach day.
Where's the dinner, and how do you get tickets for the dinner?
The dinner is going to be at QBE from 5 to 7 p.m. What we're doing is we're having what we're calling a Taste of Haymarket. So we have a lot of local restaurants that have been willing and very generously donating food for the event. We'll also have raffles. To buy tickets, it's welcome home DandriaFamily.eventbrite.com. I'll make sure that I get that out to you all, to your emails, and that's where you can buy the tickets. The tickets are $15. You can buy them online, and all the proceeds are going to Homes for Our Troops, and they're allocating that money to the Dandria Home.
And now, if you can't go online, can you purchase them at the door?
You can purchase them at the door. It is $20 at the door. And then also, if you're unable to make it that evening, you are able to go online and donate through that Eventbrite website.
Can we also, will this also be on our website, the Haymarket website? Perhaps to advertise for people who might check.
That would be
Would be
great.
good to have it there.
Yeah, we can reach out to town staff to have that done.
As well as the second, the June 11th one.
Yes. I know that we're doing email blast with Green Hill Crossing. It went out today. I believe it's going to be going to Haymarket Station. We'll try to get in touch with your neighborhood as well,
Okay.
as well as yours, and making sure that we have all the neighborhoods going out. It went out to Piedmont, Dominion Valley, so obviously it's a town. We're all here in Haymarket. Everyone's hometown, so we want to make sure we get out to as many people as possible.
Those are great ideas.
It's hard to believe it's been over a year since they did the motorcycle. It's been a while. Wow. That's exciting. It's always neat to see our military honored, especially our wounded warriors. All right, new business, CIP plan. We really need to move this up to the town council. It's been requested that we forward this on with our approval so the council can act on it on June 6th before the end of the fiscal year. A lot of this we've talked about. Let's, if you don't mind, we'll go through it. You see the introduction. Marshawn, before we go page by page, I mean, we're not going to go line by line, but any just general comments from you?
No, sir, other than just Brian put this together for the commission. He just wanted me to pass along that it is a carryover of the previous CIPs, the priority being the Hariver project, the town center property. Other than that, he has asked that you move forward with the blessing this evening so that they can meet the budget meeting on June 14th.
And I think one of the keys is on page 3, packet page 8, CIP covers a 5-year period and is updated annually. The CIP process involves identifying projects needed over the ensuing 5 years and ranking them by priority. And if you look over on page 4, packet page 9, the summary of proposed projects, that shared use path is one of the top priorities, in addition to the town center, which we're currently working on, the Hairover. The police need a patrol car, and then the caboose renovation, which we got a federal grant, correct, Sherry?
Yes, correct.
So, as far as I know, the caboose had one little glitch that the decking did not go all the way into the caboose itself, but at the last council, I believe we got that rectified. Right. I know the chief talked to the council about the patrol car. We had a car that blew its engine. And then the Hairover, the architectural engineering, we've set aside $300,000. I believe it lasts, I don't have the budget in front of me, but I believe we've spent, Sherry, correct me if I'm wrong, like $30,000 so far. Well, what do we have left in that line? Do you remember? Okay, if you don't mind.
And should the museum come off because it's finished?
I would think it would. I mean, there's no other renovations that I'm aware of unless somebody else does. The caboose has been renovated, right, Marchant?
Caboose renovations, let me look it up. There's the VDOT project, the T money that built the deck. Let me read real quick. I'm not as familiar with this, I apologize.
That's fine.
We're just asking, shouldn't it come off the plan then?
There's a reason why, I guess you continue just to show how your previous projects have been completed.
All right, okay.
So I think it's just more of showing
Well, I
what
think-
you're closing out and what you're carrying forward.
I do think, though, I remember now, there's 2 interpretive signs that have been ordered that are going to be put up there. So that's probably why it's being carried over, because
Gotcha.
the signs have not been put up yet.
Okay, so I'll wait in the signage, that makes
All
sense.
right.
I had a question about the streets and the description of striping plan on the town streets. And what are we talking about with a striping plan? I don't know.
So that's, I'll let Marcia answer.
What does it look like on the street? Does it cross like a sidewalk, or
Have you
what?
been to Aldi recently with on Route 50 going through old Aldi?
No.
So what you do is you create bump outs at intersections. You're creating visually you're creating a narrower street to encourage people to slow down. So I'd have to show you a graphic with bulbs out of the corners so that the intersections look smaller, creating defined edges of the streets, hashing out. We have the crosswalks now, but sometimes you use raised crosswalks. So it's a series of traffic calming measures to try to visually create a narrower road, encourage folks to slow down, and create more of a separation between the cars and the others. So I think generally there's some best practices on how to achieve that, and he was suggesting in here that may be a low cost, my favorite term, low hanging fruit. And VDOT has a whole standards manual on how to stripe traffic calming measures.
So the striping is in addition to the calming efforts? Is it actually painting stripes on the road?
Correct. It's one of several traffic calming measures.
And so do they horizontally go across the street if the traffic is going, I'm just trying to, if the traffic goes north-south and they go east-west, is it a stripe like that? Would they,
No, ma'am.
No.
Probably easiest just to show you a traffic
Okay.
thought there. So let's say a lot of times what you'll see happen is if you're coming up to an intersection, visually the stripes will be highlighted on the road and will start to narrow. We have what they call a bold out, where usually you see this with on-street parking. For on-street parking, and in the on-street parking intersection, they'll stripe out these areas in the road to narrow the crossing for pedestrians. And so visually, when you come up on it, and you see that it's striping. You're visually. I'm sorry, I'm repeating myself. You're visually seeing that graphic on the road, and it causes you to slow down. And when you have it, especially with pedestrian crossings, it gives pedestrians some assurances that these areas that safe havens where they're expected to stand and wait for it are clearly delineated and separated from traffic. So they can clearly see, traffic can clearly see where these crossings are. I don't know if that's helpful or not. I can try to print off some standards next time.
it is helpful, and the other thing is I noticed that the 25 mile per hour speed limit sign they've added another one, basically farther, east or north on 55? There used to be one exactly at the town limits, and now there's one a little further east, sort of parallel with the state, that little plaza there.
Yes.
And so, which is fine, I have no problem with that. Would the striping pattern and the calming measures go from that point on? Would it include all of the 25 mile per hour areas in Haymarket so that that whole area is saying slow down?
We could coordinate with the county to do that. The purpose of this would be strictly within the limits of the town.
Okay. But they are in the limits of the town. That is in the limits of the town.
Plaza, you're talking about the shopping
Well, I
center?
know what you're talking about. It's
Yes.
like right where you pass like that little urgent care. It used to be 35 till the
There still is a
25.
sign that says 35.
Right, but then it goes to 25,
About
which
100
is,
yards later, there's a sign that says 25. And
Where
then
it used-
100 yards after that, there's another sign that says
I
25.
thought you were talking about the speed camp,
No,
no,
no.
I'm sorry.
it used to be, you didn't hit the 25-mile-an-hour speed limit sign, so just right at Blight. But they've backed it up the other side of QBE. There's a
Big reasoning for that, if I'm not mistaken, is because folks are seeing 25, and once they hit 25, they start slowing down. But the object is we want you to be at 25 when you're entering town. So that's why we moved, VDOT ended up putting that sign in to where they're slowing down before they actually enter into the actual town of the Haymarket to make sure that they're going 25 through. Because otherwise, once they hit that sign, they're pretty much almost at QE. They're, by the time that they hit Haymarket Baptist is when they're actually down to 25.
Officer O'Neill, I know you're in the back. You want to offer, being law enforcement, any thoughts? I know I'm putting you on the spot, but
The biggest thing, we have seen a decrease as they enter town, at the rates of speed, they're decreasing down from the 30s to low 30s as they approach Newmarket Baptist and so forth. The speed limit sign is helping. So mainly what it's also doing is, the mere fact there's, as you exit town, traveling eastbound on 55 going towards Gainesville, you come out of the 25 zone and you see the 35 zone, people are increasing their speed. Well, as we stop them in that little area, we can also still point out on the opposite side of the road, you're still in a 25 posted speed limit zone. So it's much easier to explain to them on the side of the road.
There is an inherent confusion, though, to have 35 on one side and 25 on the other. Do you know what I mean? I mean, we slow down because we live in Haymarket Station, and we're people here, and we always, but there is a confusion in there, and I think we need to clear that up.
I haven't heard of any confusion, but
Okay.
I'm pretty sure that there possibly could be.
Okay.
As Carol, you're saying, so as you come into town, the 25 limit signs are backed up, but there's a,
On the other side, there's a 35.
Parallel with it, correct?
Yes.
Yes, because that's being that at that point, 25 then begins there going in, and then coming the opposite way is 25 goes from there to the 35, because you can't hit 35 until you hit that sign, if I'm not mistaken.
so this is the 35 talking about coming out of town.
correct.
Leaving.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, the 35 sign is posted at Susquehanna and John Marshall Highway at the intersection. The 25 sign is directly across the street on the westbound lanes, not visible to the eastbound lanes, where you're entering into the jurisdictional boundary of the town at 25 and then reducing to the actual posted 25 at the town limit, which is Blight at QB.
I have noticed walking that traffic is slowing down. We're not seeing at least I haven't observed, the 45 and the 60s like I was seeing a couple months back. And that's a testament to what you all are doing, so I appreciate that.
Great, thank you.
All right, any other questions on striping? Good questions. Thank you, sir. Any other question, ma'am, on striping?
I'm still confused by the whole concept. I just,
I'll bring you
I'm looking at these very narrow roads out there and saying, you're going to make them seem even more narrow. That's the gist of the reason for it, and I can't even visualize it.
I'll bring you some examples of it. I read through his description again. It talks about, a lot of times over time, the white lines that define the road fade.
True.
In some of our side streets, we don't have center lines. So reading through his description again, it's just as those demarcations fade, we have a striping plan that comes back and makes sure those are clearly visible. And by having that defined edge, you encourage people to slow down. I was thinking ahead, saying we could do more work at the intersections to try to narrow the crossings and encourage people to slow down.
It's pretty narrow there, though, now with the turn lane that we didn't have before and the shared bike path.
Yeah, here at this intersection,
Right
it is.
here.
Other intersections,
Yeah.
not so much.
Is, you could probably answer this, officer. We actually had our bikes today, and the bike lane is in the middle of all the cars. That makes me a little nervous, because there's a turn lane, and to the left of the turn lane, we were biking, and then there's cars to our other side. Is that normal VDOT procedure? Okay,
The
thank
bike
you.
lanes usually consist of anywhere between 4 to 6 feet on the right-hand side of the roadway.
Thank you.
Are you talking instances
No,
where you
at
come up
the
on a
tu-
turn lane?
There's a turn lane to the right of the bike lane, and then the bike lane, and then more cars.
Yeah, the bike lane is dedicated bike lane. Once you enter that turn lane, you're to go to the opposite side of the bike lane, so you do not interfere with the bicyclist itself. Now,
It
if
keeps you from-
bicyclists want to make the turn, they're going to be in the turn lane as well with you.
Okay.
They're still abided by the motor vehicle traffic laws.
Okay, thank you.
I think what it's trying to do is give you a safe haven to get through the intersection.
Right.
So if you're coming up and you're trying, like you said, to turn right, you had a dedicated lane, it's your discretion whether or not to stay right. If you don't have that, people may expect that you have to go in the turn lane and then come back out into the intersection, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
We also, this is just slightly different, but we're talking about the bike lanes heading east right outside here. And all of a sudden, the bike lane disappears as the traffic now goes to 2 lanes, a turn lane going straight or right. And someone was very upset with me for being in the way, because what he wanted to do was turn right, go down Old Carolina Road. I was still in the, quote, bike lane. I said, the bike lane is done. Get off the road.
So when we had to restripe to achieve that center turn lane, we couldn't widen the right-of-way, so we restriped it. But what that happened was, to your concern, was you're having the bike lane overlap with the turn lane. You know, as soon as you get through the intersection, it separates again. There are signs that are supposed to say share the road or share the
It would be
lane.
good just to have somebody calm down a little.
That was the
I'm
compromise.
old
to get
and
that
I'm
turn
slow.
lane.
Don't- Don't push my bike.
All right, thank you.
Did you want, the number?
Yes, ma'am, what is the number?
So, on the CIP that he has,
300, right?
it's actually 310.
Okay,
75,000 is for engineering, and we spent $7,912.
so we spent how much again?
$7,912.
So basically, we have about 302,000 still towards that project.
Well, that's just the engineering. Now, construction is $235,000 of that, and we've spent $27,263.
Right,
So we've only spent $35,000.
right. Now, since we're on the Harover, I noticed that's a project near and dear to my heart. Reading through this, can we change the language? It says the town currently does not possess a distinctive recreational area within the town. The Harover property has often been identified as a potential location for a municipal park or active recreation destination. We've clearly delineated that it is a park, so we need to change the language. And then, much like the town center prior, the town will look to fund architecture and engineering and construction. I mean, we're currently doing that right now. So I think this needs to be beefed up with a little more specifics. I mean, it is a park. We do have money dedicated towards it. We are currently in the process of, it's being worked on. So this kind of gives like it's a future event, when in reality, it's ongoing currently.
Okay. We can have that changed before the council looks at it.
And do we have a pretty much an end date for Harover, so we could indicate that in the language too.
Say again,
I mean,
ma'am?
we have a date by which it'll be completed, or at least proposed completed date, right, for all the Harover work?
I don't believe we have a hard date on the Harover. I know we're looking to move the sheds before the end of the fiscal year and finish off the grading up there. We're waiting on the site plan to come back. The benches have been purchased. And Sherry or Marchand, do you know when the benches are going in? I know they've been purchased.
I think they already came in and they're sitting in the garage. We're just waiting for Genesis to put them,
Okay.
the picnic tables and.
And I believe the picnic tables were around, and benches were around, what, 13,000 or something?
Pretty heavy duty. So we put out for bid the construction services, which will be the $75,000 line item. We've got 5 proposals in. We're reviewing those proposals. Once that contract is awarded, they will develop the engineering plan that will come to you, the site plan that will come to you for review and recommendation of the council. Once that's done, then you will prioritize which of those projects you will want to do. That site plan includes all elements. Do we want to build the pavilion first? Do we want to build the playground first? Do we want to put sidewalks and curb and gutter sidewalks in first? So that will give the framework. Right now you have $2 million for future years. Once that plan's in play, you'll be able to revisit and prioritize which projects go first.
Now, that 10-foot buffer is going to be installed by Oak Ridge, correct?
Correct. They've submitted a bond, and prior to the end of their project, they will have to put in that 10-foot buffer yard along the perimeter.
Right.
So,
And then the food pantry's lease runs out the end of this calendar year.
correct.
And the plan that we've discussed on the council is to remove that, put it back to its original footprint, to
Correct.
remove
The
all
master
the...
plan brings it back to its original footprint.
Correct.
Removes the additions.
Right.
Which, when you saw what was done to the police station, similar effect, pull off most of the
Right.
strings.
So I would say while we don't currently have a hard and fast date for the project in its totality, I mean, there are definite landmarks along the way that I think we're making pretty good progress. But I would really like to see us as a planning commission, keep pushing the council to let's, as money allows to get projects done, to keep it moving.
Oh, absolutely. When I saw this, we have $2 million set aside for 17-18, $2 million more for the following year, and that makes me think we're talking 3 years from now, 4 years from now, for a completion date for that. I would think that we could move faster than that. Now, financially, I don't know if we can.
It's the finances.
Slow us down. So there will have to be some hard decisions made about priorities.
There were phases. Basically, the town council has discussed like 3 phases, like phase 1. Once we get the master plan, then it will come back to us, is my understanding. We will look at it, we will offer our recommendations, put it up to the town council, and then the funding will be generated through the budget based upon what, as money allows.
And maybe we could look at public-private partnerships for some money
Right.
to, come into play.
Exactly. You'll have the site plan likely before you by the end of the year. That will be the benchmark with which to estimate how each of those phases will cost. And then that's when you should be able to move forward expeditiously. If you're able to fund the whole thing at once, you'll do it at once. If not, you'll adhere to the original plan. I would assume that when you review the plan and move it forward, you will add your recommendations on what should be the focus or what should be the priority.
But I would think having that home removed, the picnic tables out there, the rest of that grading done, the sheds removed, that's a healthy start.
And I believe Brian's working on the naming project.
Right.
Officially give it a name and call it what it is.
Right.
So,
So can we just update this language?
yes, sir. So
Okay.
what I understand you're saying is the first sentence talks about the completion of the master plan, but that should carry through to align more with where we are in the
The
planning
second
phase.
sentence, the town currently does not possess a distinctive, it does, and we've already designated that as the park.
Okay.
And it, I agree, has often been identified, has been identified for, as a municipal park.
And then the town administration, is a goal to I'm looking at the last sentence there in the bottom of the page. It is the goal to utilize the main building of the town center site as a regional government center, locating all the town's administrative offices, including the police department on the first floor of the building. I mean, the police department's already there.
As well as the top portion, those first 5 lines, we've already updated our audio and visual within the council chambers.
I will ask that be updated.
It's almost as if this document was written about 9 to 12 months ago, and a lot's transpired, correct? Right,
It copies last year's, basically, is what it
right.
is.
Which has been one of our things that we need to get better at, is producing current documents, which we are making progress.
Good.
All right, anything else? Well, and another one too, under the police department, proposed installation of radar speed signs along Jefferson. That hasn't happened yet, but have those been ordered? We've discussed those.
No, they're not.
Okay. All right. I mean, other than that, do you all see anything else that,
The variable message board, again, under the police department, is that the one that's sitting in the back here?
good question. Officer Neal, I hate to keep putting you on the spot, but you came. That message board that you all, yeah, that's good, though. That message board that you all move around, is that what this message board is referring to?
The message board we have in the back was covered on a grant
Right,
from last
it's
year.
already been
Okay.
purchased. The same thing with the museum, the deck's already done.
So that, in 2013, the police department was successful in obtaining a grant that will cover the cost of purchasing the variable message board. Through the CIP, the town will look to provide an additional message board.
Right, but it says will cover the cost of purchasing. It has been
It
purchased.
has been. There you go.
And then the museum, the deck is done.
Okay. So I will follow with Brian about scrubbing the document to ensure that this provides a more current status of the projects.
Now, we can push this up with the noted corrections, correct? So we
Correct.
don't
I think-
slow this down, because I know the council really wanted it for the joint.
The bulk of tonight's discussion was this table. The text is just a narrative to accompany it, so the numbers, I believe, are correct.
Some of the money has already been funded. The Conway money, like for the shared use path.
Correct. If you look at the-
250,000, all right?
Correct. So I believe earlier in the narrative, it talked about those Connolly monies, and we've exhausted some of those already, and that's expected to be completed in this year. Yes, on page 4, I believe that is correct on page 4, summary of proposed projects for 2016, 2017.
Yeah, and the caboose too, so that it's just money spent, I'm thinking.
Correct. It was proposed and acknowledged by stating the project has been carried from year to year until funding became available. Not all of the following projects will necessarily be completed, but is included as they are being initiated this fiscal year. So I believe they're including this for the fiscal year that we're in today.
So on this chart, am I interrupting you? I don't want to. On this chart, let's just say, under the police department, it has scene event lights and 6x12 enclosed trailer, and there's no funding planned in the 5-year plan for either of them. So we're saying those are desirable, but we're not funding them?
Correct. Unfunded line items, they'll be carried forward to the next year, and if next year when it comes back before you, if there's funding available, you will go ahead and earmark it then.
Now, one last thing on this, and you bring up a good point. it's my understanding that we're going to keep the current garage, to refurbish it, to paint it, to dress it up on the Hanover property until we secure. I know the chief has been looking to get a suitable facility to store police equipment. Is that correct? We had talked about that at the last council too. As much as we want to get rid of it, we don't want to tear it down prematurely, but it's in a state of disrepair, the windows and it needs painting, et cetera.
I think we had, internally in the staff had talked about looking at a way to try to, like you said, spruce it up in the near term. Within the next 12 to 18 months, it'll still be necessary until we can find alternate storage. It's not so much dry storage, it's vehicle storage. If they're having to do maintenance on the vehicles, do some, have to impound vehicles or something like that, that provides a secure location. But in the near term, given all the efforts that are being made, we need to clean it up.
So if we impound a vehicle, it doesn't go to a county facility, we store it?
Well,
Okay.
eventually it goes there, correct? It stays with us. So.
All right, do we have any further discussion to push this up?
As long as those verbiages get changed.
I'm very happy that bike racks are included on the Washington Street beautification. Just need to say that.
Do we need a motion then to offer this to the town council?
I'll see, we
Or
need
do
a motion, a second, and then vote to push it forward. The exact language, typically, we have the exact language that we need to follow.
In the cover memo, it says, reviewed by the planning commission and forwarded to town council with recommendations.
Normally, they give us the talking points, but I did not see it. So let's do it this way. Do we have a motion to forward the,
I will offer a motion to forward to the town council the capital improvement plan with changes made in the language for their discussion and approval.
okay, thank you. And that's 2016, 2021, correct?
Yes.
All right, thank you, sir. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, any further discussion? Okay, all in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? All right, motion carries. Thank you. Appreciate your all's work on that. All right, going to old business. Marchant, I will let you lead us in this part of it. What's new in the zoning ordinance rewrite?
Last month, we reviewed the use list for the new zoning ordinance. You provided me feedback. There's also very detailed and constructive suggestions and revisions for the definitions. The consultant has incorporated those into the full draft of the new zoning ordinance, has provided that draft to staff to look at and have the town attorney look at within the next month or so. Once that's done, it'll come to you for your review and recommendation. So it does a pretty comprehensive overhaul of the ordinance, makes it a more user-friendly document. Not only does it create a better use class list, but it also talks about separating site plans, minor site plans, major site plans, those that you would review, others that we can be done administratively. So the consultant is anticipating coming back to you and hitting the highlights of what the rewrite includes, and that'll hopefully be within the next month or so. So progress is being made.
And sign ordinance?
Sign ordinance, I apologize, in your packet for next week it's included. Last time the town attorney and I were looking it over, there's some recent legislation. The key point you had in your last discussion was talking about temporary signs. We created we have residential, temporary signs in residential districts, temporary signs in commercial districts. I think it's a 45-day period with the discretion of the zoning administrator to carry it forward if the necessity for the sign still exists. So for real estate signs, if you hadn't sold the property, you coordinate with town, hey, I need it for so many days, and the zoning administrator has a discretion to move that forward. So that was a major, I think, thing that we had discussed last time. We had a citizen feedback on the introduction or the purpose, felt was somewhat negative. That was rewritten to be more of a congenial, create a high-quality community kind of statement.
So getting back to the real estate sign, so if somebody puts their home up for sale, they have to get approval for a real estate sign?
Right now, yes, it would be just a permit for the sign, and it would be, let me go grab it. I think there's some discretion where over a certain amount of time you don't need one, but over a 45-day period, you'll need one.
So I thought we had discussed and we weren't doing a permit for a real estate sign.
Yeah, I thought that's the reason I brought it up.
I
thought
think
we
there was a
weren't doing
waiver
that.
for that.
Okay. When we come back to the public hearing next week, I'll have that available for you. I apologize, I wasn't
Sorry.
thinking to bring it tonight. So,
And the reason for that, I mean, that's a pretty common practice. Somebody puts a home up. I mean, they have enough going on without securing a permit from the town.
Right.
And a lot of homes go up, and another thing, without belaboring, a lot of homes go up for sale on Friday afternoons or first thing on Saturday morning, to where something happened, foreseeability, the agent or property owner didn't get the permit, then they waste a weekend. So I would personally like to see us just scrub that.
give me 2 seconds, I'll grab it.
Okay. I don't know what the will of the planning commission, I
I
think,
remembered that we were going to do away with it, any requirement for that. That's how I remembered our discussion.
I thought it was, yeah.
We agreed on that previously.
There's no mention of it in the minutes. But it was, I know it was
I
discussed.
know we talked a lot about it.
I'm sorry, let me clarify. Permit not required,
Okay, all right.
All right.
but there are standards. These signs shall, temporary signs in commercial districts. These signs shall be either freestanding wall signs, window signs, banners, A-frames, and may be displayed for up to 45 consecutive days. The date of the first display shall be marked on the reverse of the sign in indelible ink. Okay. This is just a tracking device. If it goes up on a Friday and we don't see it till, 2 weeks later. The zoning administrator may extend the time limit by up to 45 days upon application by the owner at the end of the initial 45-day period, if the applicant shows that the sign is maintained in sound condition and the purpose for it still pertains. So that's where the distinction was made, saying up to 45 days, you don't need a permit. Beyond that, you just need to coordinate with the zoning administrator. So I think that was a way to kind of come up with a compromise so that those permits don't go on unending and indefinitely. So,
My only question is, on the initial 45 days, are houses sold that quickly here that the 45 days is adequate for the initial span of time?
If you have a good realtor like this gentleman.
There's a little, yeah, or over there. There's a lot of variables. I mean, is it priced right, time of year? Average days on market right now in the 20169 zip. Connor, correct me if I'm wrong, it's about 45 to 60 days.
I would be comfortable with agreeing with that.
I mean, and it fluctuates. I mean, price point,
Sure.
so in town.
The big thing, even with that, is loans are taking, with the new TRID laws that are coming through, homes are, even if you get an offer on day one, that loan can't go through underwriting and get pushed back out for it. There are companies out there that can do them in as low as 3 weeks, but your traditional now is 45 days. So I would say 45 days.
To give an example, I have two homes going to closing tomorrow. They were ratified contracts the second week in April, and here it is June 2nd, and they're just going to closing.
Then my question is the initial 45 days where you're grandfathered a sign there without asking to continue it, shouldn't that be an initial 60 days
Or 90 days.
or 90 days? It should be some other specific time frame that conforms to reality.
Well, 45 days contract to close with, like he said, the new trade laws that went into effect last fall. If everything falls perfect, you have a fighting chance, but it rarely does.
So I guess the idea here is not just after 45 days you can't have it anymore.
Right. But it sounds like, from what I'm hearing, that everybody's going to have to ask for an extension,
Specific to real estate signs.
specific. So should we not make that maybe 60 days or 90 days at the onset, just for real estate signs? Or is that something that you
I
can't?
think the attorney was concerned about distinguishing real estate signs from others, and that's why we came up with this standard. So let me think about it some more. I think this was a way to try to address the court legislation about how you treat
Everybody.
different signs
Yeah.
and remove the question, and then providing a reasonable period so that we don't have kind of this perpetual state of temporary signs. So it may just be as easy as just saying, if we want to go to 60 days, we go to 60
I
Go
would
60
say
days.
60, because I can tell you, real estate agents, as soon as they can, they're glad to take the sign down, move it someplace else.
But what other temporary sign would need a similar concession, I guess was the point.
Right.
You know, if you're doing a yard sale, or you're coming soon, or something like that, beyond 45 days, does that become, untenable, or just become a distraction over time?
It's not very soon if it's over 45 days.
What's
It's-
that?
If it's coming soon and it's over 45
You
days,
understand my
I've lost
point.
my
It's
attention.
just trying to
Yes.
do the
Yeah.
gamut. What are the chances, probably shouldn't say this on the road, what are the chances I'm going to be out there as a sign Gestapo saying it's been 45 days? Probably not. And knowing it's a real estate thing, and if we're aware of it, that's fine. But yeah, I'll go and talk to Martin about, is there flexibility to
I think
increase?
the whole tricky thing is just all this court legislation.
Exactly.
It seems like it's constantly evolving, because we should have had this sign ordinance pushed out at the end of last year.
Correct.
But in light of the new legislation and new opinions on old opinions, I think it's going to be something we're going to continually be updating.
Going to be updated.
I mean, well, this is quite a change from what we have right now, and just for me to be able to administrate it, and for the public to generally make sense of it, are we going to need to tweak it? Yes, but let's get it underway, let's get it administered, and as we flag items, we may have to bring it back.
Yeah, I just think maybe 60 days on temporary signs would be good.
Okay.
All right, how about the comp plan?
That's just a rolling item that we carry forward. The last edit you made was to the planned land use map to designate those properties along Washington, transitional commercial. Once the plan or the zoning ordinance rewrite's done, then the consultant will come back with the comp plan.
Has Miss Dottie approached you anymore in regards to, I know that she had brought up something in regards to, although the comp plan states it to be, I think, residential, it is zoned B1.
Correct. So I think there was some confusion by somehow not designated transitional commercial. She would not still be entitled to her B1
She is.
district. And I think we were able to confirm with her that you have rights today under the B1 zoning district.
But has she brought up any concerns about wanting to get that comp plan changed to show B1? No.
Not since we took action on the other one. I think we had the commission noted saying, as part of the comp plan update, we can probably address it, but it didn't seem to impede her ability to do anything with the property in the short term.
Excellent.
All right, the update.
Saw a bear in my front yard this morning. I'm sorry, that's not a plan.
But you did, huh?
My wife sent me a bear cub, came on the backside of Long Street Commons.
Yeah, they were shutting down. Kids can go at recess at Tyler.
Take
Okay.
your word for yours, Sam.
Quickly, west to east, you see Chick-fil-A's moving along quite quickly. We approved the sign permit for it. They're wanting to do some restriping of the parking in the internal lot to keep increasing the efficiency there. One thing I need your help on is letting the public know that it's going to be painful when it opens until the new turn lanes are provided at the intersection of Washington and 15. The interchange project is going to widen that intersection as well, provide dedicated lanes. So if you're going to Walmart, there's a lane that goes to Walmart, there's a lane that goes north on 15, there'll be a lane that goes south. So yes, in the near term, there's going to be problems. But as much as we're trying to deal with the internal traffic, there's going to be some through traffic problems till it's built.
When is the opening for that?
They're still targeting July.
July, beginning of July? And then the intersection, I know they're really fast forwarding out there. Do you know when that intersection is going to be completed?
I do not. I think Holly does some updates, and we can try to get updates on that. I know it is moving faster than they expected.
Can we get an update for that at the
Sure.
next meeting with the council,
Need that update?
please?
Okay. Go by the ice rink. The second rink's going up. I've not heard, Sheets is still waiting on a gas line. Fairgrounds property, I'm meeting some of those folks next week. Lidle's still anxious to move forward.
You're meeting with Gravit?
Gravit, correct. I have a meeting with Gravit next week.
Is that Lidl? I didn't,
Lidle.
Okay.
It's a grocery store that wants to go in next to,
What are you all meeting about?
just the status of the project.
Okay. Just giving you an update, pretty much?
No, we're still reviewing we've gotten, we put it on a referral again. We got comments from VDOT, we got comments from the county, we got comments from the sanitation authority, so we're just continuing to process the application, but we wanted to talk about the comments that we received.
And he down, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry, well, when that is, will that include all the sidewalks, et cetera? So there'll be continuous sidewalks?
Exactly.
Yes.
That'll be required as part of the development of
Yes.
that property.
And he downgraded the number of,
Correct. It went from
Resi-
200 to, I believe, 125, if I can think of it off the
with,
top of my
with
head.
the store still out front and the residential behind it, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Hotel site behind Quarles, Lidle next to Chick-fil-A, commercial along the remainder of Washington Street, and residential townhomes in the back.
We don't have any names for hotels yet, right?
No, they've not identified a flag. To be honest, I believe the priority is probably going to be the Lidle, the townhomes, and then the other developments will come online at some point as interest increases. Okay. What else do we have? Blight Drive, the new houses are going up. Most of you have seen those. Cookies and Cream is underway. The bridge, you may have noticed the bridge going out. They put in the pedestrian path. They painted the, if you noticed, they've done did a mosaic painting of all the block on the bridge. Lighting's coming in. They're having to do some additional fencing. So that'll be moving forward quickly. Other than that, unless you have some specific,
Any update on the blight ordinance, how that's coming across the
Brian,
street?
correct, Brian had put forward, a plan of action. He's working with Joe Barbo. I guess the first step is initial letters to those properties that have blight, having Joe Barbo do an inspection to determine whether or not those structures are to be condemned. Majority of them probably are, but he'll have to come up with what is the remedy. And then we'll continue to move through the new ordinance process on, if we don't get a response from the owner, what are our next steps. I did approve a zoning permit for a nonprofit for a group home next to the church on Fayette Street called the Mead House. It's the house directly behind Winterham. It's painted yellow right now next to the rectory for the church. They provide a group home for young single mothers. And so you'll see that come to the council next week. They are permitted use in the R1 district. It's pretty neat, though. They do a lot of outreach. They do a lot of assistance for these young mothers. They felt this was an ideal location because you could walk to work, you could walk to the grocery store, there's other areas in town. So look for that coming forward. I did receive a rezoning application today to rezone the property behind JV3 and Giuseppe's. It's a vacant lots right behind those buildings to go to B1. Remember Doggy Daycare, that was a group that came in? That's the property that they're wanting to develop on, so we'll be moving forward. There was a holdup on some well easements on the property. So, yes, things are happening.
How many, just to go back to your previous point, how many women can be housed in that particular home?
They've not told me how many. Obviously, there's code requirements for how many. It's only a 3-bedroom house. As large as it looks from the outside, it's only a 3-bedroom house. So they would be limited to use of those bedrooms. I did pass along to make sure that they are aware of code requirements in terms of occupancy and the like. I would think that with young mothers, you wouldn't have people wanting to share co-rooms and things like that. But I believe at this time, they're only anticipate to have one per bedroom. and then someone like a house mom that'll be on staff there. So, okay, thanks for letting me ramble. A lot of things happening, so.
All right, does anybody have anything else?
When is this Carolina and Jefferson Street, they will make a sidewalk in there? I think when you drive, there is there's no sidewalk. I don't see it in there.
Between here and the bridge?
No, between here to all the way down on track.
To the railroad tracks?
So, I had thought that there was an earmark in the CIP for that. Right now, there's not an immediate project pending for that. There are sidewalks in front of those houses we call 18th century. Those are those single-family houses on the right that has sidewalks there. As these commercial properties develop, they'll have to provide sidewalks. But right now, there's not a project on the books to complete the sidewalk. The challenge would be, once you get down the railroad tracks, what are you connecting to? But I think there's a need to have sidewalks so that citizens can get to Main Street without having to walk down that road.
Yeah, lots of people, if they want to walk in the town, if we make a sidewalk all the way across to I don't know what's the road name called, if we, propose that would be better for the town.
Right now, you can walk from Fayette all the way up to Payne Lane on the west side of Jefferson. But to get from Payne Lane up to Washington, there's not a sidewalk. So.
And being a walking town, I mean, that's one of the things that
Hopefully we'll be able
we've
to
spent a
do.
considerable amount of time to actually be able to walk where you're not in danger, or ride your bike, whatever the case may be.
Priority has been Washington Street at this point. I believe the next phases will be each of the side streets.
All right. If there's nothing else, I'm sorry?
Just
Yes,
one
ma'am.
How do we go about getting the former proposal by the planning commission in favor of the VRE to go to the town council? Do we do like a formal letter or?
Correct. So if at the next meeting you wanted to put
Yeah, we talked about that last time, about doing a formal proposal in favor of VRE.
correct. So if you wanted to either do that as a work session before next month's meeting, and if there's one of you that volunteers to do an outline, maybe provide that outline to discuss.
Sure.
And then, yes, it's certainly within your purview to send a formal recommendation to the council indicating your support for the VRE.
Excellent.
Would we have to do a work session, or can we do the work session as part of our meeting?
You could do it as part of your meeting.
I would recommend we do that, because it doesn't seem like, make it an agenda item.
Correct.
Okay.
If you could draft it up, you have expertise, and the gentleman that you,
I might know somebody.
probably is pretty well versed on.
Does he know anything about railroads?
Maybe a little.
Okay.
So there are still, as the projects move forward, at some point they will come to the commission and present and hopefully get your formal recommendation. But there's nothing to say that, you're right, you can't indicate your interest and support right now.
Good point. So if you don't mind doing that.
Do it.
All right, do I have a motion that we adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Do we have a
I
second?
second that motion.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Sherry, have a safe trip.